It would seem as though.
Wouldn't it just seem as though?
It would seem as though we are back for another episode of the world-renowned podcast. It would seem
Global.
as though.
Yeah.
Yeah, recorded every week in our state-of-the-art studio at my dining room table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, with our microphone that I bought on Amazon. And
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And
State of the art.
I'm Vesta.
I'm Annika.
You say that with some hesitation.
Well,
like, are you not sure today?
No, what? Am I ever sure?
Is it because you have a giant homework assignment due
Yes, and I have things to do on top of that. And
today? I know, honey. But look, you are so near the end of school. You can like see the finish line. You're almost there.
Which, let me tell you, sometimes makes it harder. It's like when you put in a 2-week notice at work, and then those last 2 weeks, you're all, I'm done. Like, I don't want to
get short-timer syndrome.
Yeah, where I just, the end is near, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to quit.
I know I gave you 2 weeks, but I'm going to call in sick for the next 2 weeks.
But I hate it here. Yeah, exactly.
I know.
That's where I'm at.
Unfortunately, I have no one to give 2 weeks notice to.
I know.
You know, because my boss is such a bitch.
You can just play both parts. Hey, Vesta, I'm quitting. No, don't leave. I got to.
Well, okay, but I'm not giving you a good reference. I know, I keep seeing these things that pop up while I'm playing a game or something. It'll be like, what is your dream career? Or are you looking for a new job experience now? I'm looking for a financial way to not have to work.
Just like a small little windfall of cash.
Yeah, I don't need to be rich.
No.
I just need to be able to pay my bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have to be like a millionaireist, although I wouldn't say no to that.
No, but if it happens,
yeah,
grateful. And then I'll say, told you so. Told you I was meant to be rich.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Look how cute I am as a rich person.
I see that you have your magic wand again.
Well, it's here. So what am I supposed to do? It's sitting on the table.
I know.
So beautiful wand.
As some of you know, if you listened last week, my son went to outdoor school. I almost like camp. It is camp, but outdoor school. And for whatever reason, he felt the need to bring home rocks and sticks. Because we don't have rocks and sticks here in the city.
I love that. I love that because literally, same. I went walking through parks in Tualatin in February with Gavin because they did this thing where the Parks and Recreation, whatever government group, like hid little blown glass hearts all over these parks.
Oh, yeah.
And so we went on the search.
Did you find any?
No, but I found interesting things. I found rocks that were painted with like an email address on it because it's like they're partnered with the heart people. But yeah, it was really interesting. So I brought home like random sticks and random rocks.
I didn't find the glass heart, but I found this dirt clod that looks like Winston Churchill.
But look at this, girl. The sacred and the profane. Yeah. I'm about it. Well, I mean, like I told you last week, I have a friend who's going to Greece, and I said, bring me dirt. Like, bring me dirt and sand from Greece.
Yeah.
Because I do have a lot of different earth materials from around the world. I don't know, girl. I would much rather your son like to find sticks and rocks than go and find a cross. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would prefer he pray to that.
I do. I don't know that he's praying to that. I think he was bringing him things that he could
maybe
carve or... Because he apparently, oh my God, he brought home this letter.
Oh, I know.
Did you read the letter?
I read it. It's so
sweet. Mm-hmm. But it was written by one of the camp counselors. Now, the camp counselors are high school kids.
Yeah.
Right? And it basically was like saying how wonderful and sweet Parker is. I wondered halfway through if Parker wrote it.
I was like, was he drugged the whole time?
How wonderful and sweet he is, and how he practiced carving with carving tools while there, and that this 16-year-old, recommended that we should buy him some carving tools. Mm-hmm. And I'm all, well, you're 16.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it was very sweet. It was very sweet. And Parker's now all he wants to do is carve things.
I know.
He's like, I need to find some twigs. I need to find some stumps of trees. Like, now he's an old man. He's going to start burying his gold in the backyard.
Getting out his metal detector.
Mm-hmm. He's all, no government on my money, or whatever.
Well, he already likes to wear the high water pants, so he's already in,
with it.
in
Get him some
stead.
suspenders, and we're on board.
Suspenders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to read a little email that we got. It's a very short, quick, easy one. From my friend Sparky, who lives in Florida.
Hi, Florida Sparky.
I actually got this a little while. I was going to read it last week, and I forgot. Hi, Sparky. Glad you're listening. I used to work with Sparky at the Embers.
Okay, 800 years ago.
800 years ago, when I was young, and she was probably a child, I'm guessing, because I don't know.
Yeah.
She was probably fresh out of high school, and I was already old.
Yeah.
It says, good afternoon. I have enjoyed listening to the past few shows. Some things I knew and others I was like, wow. Having people discuss the unpopular side of history and rights of people is truthfully refreshing. And then asked if I'd ever seen this documentary, which I still haven't watched yet. It's called The Clinton 12.
Mm-mm.
And it's on Netflix, I believe.
Okay.
And then it says, thanks again for staying true to yourself and giving us knowledge that we may otherwise never have known about.
Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome.
So thank you, Sparky. It's called The Clinton 12.
Okay.
And it's narrated by James Earl Jones, who, listen, he could talk to me about anything really because his voice is so spectacular.
Honestly.
But it tells the Clinton 12 tells the compelling story of the integration of the first public high school in the South and after the U.S. Supreme Court decision Brown versus the Board of Education.
Mm-hmm.
And the title refers to the... Of course, it's not going to do something stupid. The title refers to the 12 black teenagers who, in the fall of 1956, were forced to attend the all-white high school in Clinton, Tennessee. The story, which has gone untold for 50 years, shows the horrors of bigotry and racism in the Old South. Big shock.
Yeah.
As well as the courage of a community that fought to uphold the law. And I want to see this. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So, but if, for your homework, everybody watch the Clinton 12. It has nothing to do with Bill or Hillary.
Look, don't give me more homework.
Not
bitch.
you. You don't have to do any homework other than what they've already assigned you at school. I don't want you to have to be all worn out.
Yeah, right. Well, and I love what Sparky said. In the time that we live in, where people are like, critical race theory is problematic and making white children hate themselves or whatever. Yeah, just come listen to It Would Seem As Though. We'll teach you the truth. And not just the whitewashed history.
We're going to get to some other truth a little bit later that stuff that I've known, but whatever. Because this week I did some deep dive into the family history kind of stuff.
You sure did.
Well, it's funny because I was checking my emails one day.
Sure.
And I got an email from FamilySearch.com. And by the way, if you want to do your ancestry and want to build the family tree and all that stuff, go to FamilySearch.com. It's free. And it's owned by the Mormons. And the Mormons, in case you did not know, are the best record keepers of genealogy.
Yeah.
They have, literally, millions of files and facts and whatever. Excuse me, good Lord.
God.
It's amazing. I have traced my family, lucky because as a white person, those records are all there.
Yeah.
So I can trace my family back to Jesus practically.
Oh my God, me too.
Well, actually back to Adam and Eve.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, which I know it sounds silly because I can't do it with all the branches of my family.
Right.
And who would have time for that? Because obviously it doubles with each, generation back.
Yeah.
But, I found some interesting things like that I'm related to royalty, lords and ladies, and who's and what's and who cares. Anyhow, but in this little pop-up it says, see how you're related to Winston Churchill.
No, I don't want it.
And I was all, is this a real thing or is this one of those things where then you click on it and it's like, well, you're not, but
LOL.
you could be, maybe, it's like,
yeah.
And it turns out I am related to Winston Churchill.
Lucky you.
I know. He's like a fifth cousin, 4 times removed.
Oh my God.
And so if you actually know what that means, then good on you.
Yeah. Close
because
relation.
I don't. But I looked at the whole, and then it shows you how are you related. Because if it's somebody who is dead, they will show you the whole family tree.
Wow.
If it's someone who is alive, like Sean Astin, from Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings, from Goonies.
Goonies, right.
From Rudy.
Who I'm also related to.
Yeah.
It will only show you that I'm related to him and what the relation is, but not the family tree.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if that means I'm related to Patty Duke, his mother.
Oh my god.
Because love her.
Probably not. It's probably the
Probably
father's
not. It's
side.
probably him and his dad. Who cares about his dad? I don't even know who his dad
Boo,
is.
you whore.
I know who his adopted dad is, which would be John Aston.
Okay.
But
yeah. Interesting.
Anyway, I did some deep dive into that. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But before we do that, I need to talk about some shit that's going down in the world.
Okay, because this is what I want to talk about.
Ugh, I'm real mad.
Same.
Actually, I'm going to start with something that I'm not mad about, but happened in our world is Darcel 15, who is a local legend, icon, was in the World Book of Records as the oldest working drag queen, passed this week at 92.
Yeah.
Now, I met Darcel when I was 21, so this May it'll be 40 years, and my drag mother worked at the club at that. Darcel 15 was her name, was the name of the club that she owned, and my drag mother Myra Sims, evil, worked there and took me there for my 21st birthday, and I also performed there, and so I've known Darcel like my entire adult life, and so it was not a shock to me that she passed, because I knew she was very ill. Plus she was 92, but she's been very ill since the fall. And one of the things I found interesting is my friend Kimberly was telling me that she was there. She went to the hospital numerous times to visit Darcel and hang out with her. And one of the things Darcel said to her was, "Why is this taking so long? The dying."
Yeah.
Because she was like, "I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
Girl.
92.
Yeah.
In pain.
Bitch.
Exhausted."
And she's lived a life, girl.
She has lived a life that I don't even think most of us could comprehend, because think about the fact that when she even started her club, gay rights were not even really a thing.
No, and she was born in what, 1930?
Yes.
Is that math?
Yes, that is that is math.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And grew up here in Portland, grew up in the Linton area, and did all the things that you're supposed to do. Got married, had children, and then met the love of her life, Roxy Leroy, who, I loved Rock. Now, Rock was more on, I think, more my speed, because Rock was a storyteller. And like anytime you got together with Rock, or Roxy, as she was known professionally, Roxy would just tell stories.
Yeah, I love
and
that.
I mean, one day I was sitting with her at the bar, and it was before the show started, before the bar opened, actually. And she told me the entire basic backstory of how Darcel and Roxy met.
Cute.
And how Roxy created the character of Darcel.
I love that.
Yeah. And it was just really cool. Well, I was... so anyway, that happened, and that was a big thing. It was all over the news. It made national news.
Yeah.
Well,
because Darcel has a documentary on Netflix. It's all about her and her life, and like where she grew up and how she started, and that's
I
really...
didn't realize that was on Netflix.
It used to be. It may not be now, but when I watched it, it was. But like people who didn't even know Darcel personally still feel this, because she's like was the oldest performing drag queen.
Yeah.
In the world. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? And just like at Portland,
a funny little backstory on that is there was another queen, queen in Canada, I don't remember her name, who was actually named in the World Book of Records, and Darcel said, no, I'm older.
Hi.
And still performing.
Yeah.
And so they replaced her with Darcel, and Miss Queen in Canada was a little salty about it.
Yeah.
I don't blame her, she was listening. She's in the printed book that year. So she had it for a year.
Yeah, good for you.
Until whatever. But it is a process, because when the people from the World Book of Records came down and said, okay, so you say it's you, we need to see proof that you're as old as you are, proof that you're still working, and they came down with their crews and their people. It was like very interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you see all that happen?
I did not, but I was aware of it.
Yeah.
Because my friend Poison Waters
Right.
is there working at the club for the last 100 years.
Right.
Poison, who is a little younger than me. We worked together there doing Catch a Rising Star in 1990, I think.
Okay.
So,
a
long
time ago.
Anyway, so rest in power, Darcel.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, but as this icon is leaving us, the world is turning to shit around the queer community.
Yeah.
Missouri. Oh, so yesterday I was watching one of the YouTube shows that I'm subscribed to, which is Mangled Morning.
Okay.
Mira Mangle, drag queen in Missouri, who does this little show where she does like drag race wrap up kind of stuff, or recap, I should say. But she also talks about other things, but a lot of it's drag race related. Mm-hmm. But when she mentioned on her show the passing of Darcel, I was like, wow,
holy shit!
Because you're in Missouri.
Yeah.
Well, she also mentioned that Missouri is number 1 in the country for anti-trans and drag bills. They have 34 of them.
That's insane.
34 on the books that they're trying to get passed. What the actual fuck is happening here?
Yeah.
And some of the ones that they have on the books are so vague that it would make it illegal for trans people to be in public.
Yep. Yeah. That's one of the things I want to talk about today too, yeah. Because that's unbelievably scary to me, because imagine if you are a trans woman or a trans man who is like non-passing, right? So people can identify that you're trans. Is that taken as drag in public, right? Is that taken as you just wearing the quote-unquote opposite sex's clothes?
Right.
And behaving in a way that is against your sex? Like, this is just the morality police all over again.
Absolutely.
But scarier because it's now contemporary time. And everyone is already it's so divisive and everything is so extreme and scary already, so.
Well, and by keeping the wording so vague, it really can cover this huge umbrella of possibilities to arrest or harass anyone, that they see fit. Like, I have a lesbian friend who looks very masculine. Are they going to think that she's like,
exactly.
Are they going to look at her and go, well, you look like a man, so obviously you're breaking the law. You know what the hell?
Yep.
And I will say I'm going to give a big round of applause. Wait, where's my... Oh, I don't have my sound machine.
Oh, my God.
To Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, who, of course, is a Democrat.
Right.
Because it's the Republicans who are pushing all this shit.
Yeah.
Because he vetoed an anti-trans measure that rips away the freedom of parents to make the medical choices for their children. He vetoed that this week. And the scariest part of that whole bill was that not only does it take away the right of parents to seek whatever medical... intervention they need for their trans children. All right, I have to find it because I saved the damn thing. There we go. The bill also bans discussion of sexual orientation and gender identity in schools and allows teachers, here's the part that burns my ass so bad, it allows teachers to refuse to refer to transgender students by the pronouns they use. Can you imagine?
No.
So it's not. It's like, so if Miss Smith in school is like, well, I refuse to call Bob he because Bob used to be Betty. Mm-hmm. Well, now she's covered. If this had passed, she would be covered. And by the way, it easily passed the House and Senate there in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And he vetoed it.
Good.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God there's someone there with a reasonable brain, because these people have somehow decided that queer people, trans people, drag queens are somehow the villain who is ruining the world, and that we need to be scrubbed out and somehow just taken out.
Destroyed.
Yeah.
Well, and I want to make something very clear. The United States population is like a gajillion. It's a lot of people. I believe it's like 331 million people, which is a lot of fucking people, right?
Yes.
331.9 million as of 2021. And there are 1.6 million trans people who identify as trans. That's trans women, and non-binary people. And, non-binary is an umbrella. So when we equate that, if we put that into our little formula to figure out what percentage trans people are of the U.S. population, it is 0.5%. So, if the whole population is 100%, we go all the way down to 1% and cut that bitch in half, and that's the trans population.
Right, that's the part that's ruining the world.
Well, and this should fucking terrify everybody. And this gets me really mad and upset and makes me spin a lot. But these legislatures, the Christian right, these Republicans and the fucking, new conservatives are focusing on one of the most, if not the most marginalized group of people in the United States. 0.5% of the population, and you're focusing hours and time and money and energy of legislation to say that, trans people are grooming children or drag queens are reading inappropriate books to children. Like, you're focusing on such a marginalized group. Who do you think is next? And that's always what I think. During Black Lives Matter protests in 2020, I said, this is a beginning, right? If we all don't come together now and push back and fight back on this, who will be next?
Right.
And
now we see who's next.
Well, and evident. And I mean, look at what has happened. Roe vs. Wade was overturned and now queer people are going. Like, that should be terrifying to everybody. And not just queer people or marginalized people, but fucking everybody. Because at what point are they going to decide that if you have a hormonal imbalance or a chromosomal defect that you are not good enough?
Right.
Think about all the eugenic shit that the United States started, right? Eugenics, which is what, Hitler used in regards to Jews and genocide. Yep. Eugenics was started here by United States scientists. That was something where they were, oh my God, what was it called? When you make it so someone can't reproduce. Sterilizing.
Yes.
They were sterilizing people with physical deformities, people with different mental capacities. They were sterilizing indigenous women. They were sterilizing black and brown people. They were sterilizing people so these people could not continue to reproduce, which is a form of fucking genocide. So there are steps to genocide. I don't know how many. But we're currently... Because, I'm taking a class on religion. I'm taking a class on, society.
Right.
We're pretty far fucking in the steps of genocide for queer people. Granted, it isn't, openly murdering and sending us to camps yet. Yet, bitch. Yet. And so that is utterly terrifying. Because what's next? It doesn't affect you yet, bitch. But what happens when they get rid of all the marginalized people? Here's the thing about deviancy, right? If you take away everything that people consider deviant... That doesn't mean you have, a utopia. That doesn't mean there is no deviancy. That means that the power at hand, the people who run the fucking country, will just choose something else that is deviant. So, let's say they get rid of all drag queens and trans women and trans men and non-binary people. And they start eradicating these groups of people. And then there's only white, cisgendered, heterosexual people left, then they're going to make being brunette. You know what I mean? This is an extreme example. But they're going to start
it is and it isn't, because in Nazi Germany,
yes,
it was blue-eyed blondes,
yes,
who were, considered to be the ideal.
Yes, and everyone else was deviant.
Yes.
And, that is horrifying. So if you think that this doesn't affect you, it fucking does. Read some shit about, the society and how society functions and what social groups are, because when people... adhere to rules or social facts that, queer people are grooming children and not the truth behind any of that, it just opens, it breaks that waterway, right? It breaks that dam. So now more shit can come through and more people can be targeted and marginalized. And so
and that's, I think, the plan.
Yeah.
You start with the group that is the least liked group. So... you can get all these conservative people to go, oh yeah, queer people, ugh, bad. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start with the easy one.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be the one that's a little less.
Yeah.
And then it's as they move on up and are destroying all the people that they don't think are perfect in their little world.
Yeah.
Your turn will come.
Well, and let's keep it real. Within the Republican Party, and even the Democrats, specifically Republicans, though, there is no consensus about queer people. There is an overarching consensus that all Republicans believe that trans people are groomers or drag queens are bad. There isn't that consensus. It's just the people who have more power. It's just the people who are wielding the power that they have and the privileges that they have against groups of people who are already struggling to find a job or get medical insurance or just have medical care or have find a place to live. It's taking away the push for progress, the push for everyone to be treated like equals and with respect and dignity and freedom. So you're infringing on the freedoms of literally fucking everyone to make the Christian right comfortable. And that is terrorism.
Absolutely.
So when people want to talk about Islam as like being so scary and violent and what the fuck ever, do you think Muslims in the Middle East love ISIS? Do you think they love Al-Qaeda? They don't love it. It's also terrifying for them because, you know, people like ISIS or Al-Qaeda can, they're trying to say like, this is what Islam is. And we're gonna do away and kill all the apostates, everyone who disagrees with us. What the fuck do you think is happening here? There are more Americans killed every single year from domestic terrorism and the Christian right than that have ever been killed by any other religion or any other culture of people. Americans are the worst to other Americans. And that's the weirdest fucking thing.
Well, right. And so when we go to the airport and have to take our shoes off, and when we do all these things because they're like, oh, terrorism. No, the terrorism is here. Mm-hmm. The terrorism is not that brown person you see in the airport who you think is going to blow up your plane. No. It is not. That white guy, you know, who has his gun secretly, whatever. That's the guy you worry about. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, but that has been it for so long. If you look at all of the mass shootings, white men, almost all of them, almost all, white, cisgendered, heterosexual men. It's not queer people.
No. And then people want to be like,
and well, it's not brown people.
This one time, this non-binary person did shoot. Okay, so this one time, this non-binary person shot a person. You know what I mean? But you want to not focus on the fact that the majority of this shit happening is from people who look and act like you, Whitey McWhiterson.
Right. Well, and one of the other things that I read this morning that was just, burn my butt. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of room to burn.
Girl.
I'm just gonna say is that the Track and Field Association, national, banned transgender athletes from international competition on Thursday, while adopting new regulation that keeps Caster Semenya, I'm not sure, and other athletes with differences in sex development from competing. Mm-hmm. So it's not just now trans people. It's also anyone who may have developed so they are more muscular, more masculine. Whatever. It's like, well, you look like a dude to me, so there's obviously something going on here, so you can't compete either. You know, because it said, a pair of decisions expected to stoke outrage. Well, of course. They adopted the same rules as swimming did last year in deciding to bar athletes who have transitioned from male to female and have gone through male puberty. No such athletes currently compete at the highest level of... No one's doing it, but we got to make sure we get in there. And
that's the most ignorant fucking thing. You are creating legislation about shit that is not even happening. Like, that to me is a waste of time and money. And in my eyes, and specifically, like, the American government, how we are functioning as a quote-unquote democracy is fucking failed. It doesn't serve anybody except the people with power, with money, who are already white and cisgender and rich.
So, Semenya, who is already an athlete, right? Who is, I want to say she's from Africa. Okay. Is that correct? Has already competed, and but has been barred since 2019. So she and others like her will have to compete. Had been able to compete without restrictions in events outside the range of the 400 meters through 1 mile, but now, and here's now. They will have to undergo hormone-suppressing treatment for 6 months before being eligible to compete. Jesus what? So they have to change their natural body chemistry because you're somehow scared that this person, you know, has an advantage because of just how their body developed naturally.
And you want them to suppress their hormones, like estrogen and testosterone? Here's a fun fact. People need those things. That's how things are regulated. Like, you can't just take away all sexual hormone and expect it to be fine for someone's body. You know?
Yeah. It's just the idea that not only is it... So they're banning the athletes that so far aren't even trying to compete. But the ones who are competing, who are assigned... This one specifically assigned female at birth, who they think is... Oh, I don't know. She looks too strong and too big. So she now doesn't fit in there either because you just don't like how she looks.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what we were just talking about a second ago. Who's next?
Yep.
Well, I'm sorry. This girl who just happened to develop in a certain way because that's how her genetics are. She's out because she doesn't look like the rest of the girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's next?
No, right?
Who's fucking next?
And, like, you know, as a lot of politicians adhere to a Christian doctrine. You're not doing literally anything to like help the underserved. You're not feeding the hungry. You're not housing the houseless. You're not helping the poor. You're not doing anything that actually means fucking anything. You are afraid of what you don't understand. And I think a lot of people, specifically cisgendered heterosexual people, have this fear of queerness because they suppress their own desires, right? There's so much suppression of what they want to do or what they want or what they need that they find when queer people, trans people, drag queens are presenting and performing and living their truth and their best life, that is scary to them because that could be them. You know what I mean? They haven't lived. They've just gone through what society has prescribed. You're a man, you're going to marry a woman, you're going to have children, you're going to have a job.
Cannot ever step outside of that box, or if you do, you're going to go to hell.
And you know what? How limiting and pathetic for people. And like, I think this is exemplified in a lot of things. Like, look at have you watched any of the hearings for TikTok?
No.
TikTok is potentially going to be banned in the United States.
Right. So that was the little 3-piece headline that one of my friends did last night on the video that said, Trump was not arrested. Who's surprised? No one. Mm-mm. TikTok is going to be banned, and queer people, are
going to be eradicated.
Well, and it's like, none of this is shocking, but what should be shocking is that in this day and age, we're trying to ban things that we don't like.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I've heard a couple reasons why, but some of the things I find so fucking, it's comical and depressing, but it's, the owner, creator, whoever he is, he's Chinese and he, created TikTok. He's in front of Congress and it's all these like 1,000-year-old fucking doughy ass white men being like, well, every time I'm on the TikTok, I see children dancing. And I want you to know that TikTok is an algorithm that shows you what you want to see. So if you watch a video for too long, if you like it, if you share it, if you save it, any of the things, it'll show you more of that. So it should be scarier to people that when old white congressmen say, every time I open TikTok, I see children dancing or women half naked or whatever the fuck it is, it's because that's your algorithm, bitch. That's what you want to see.
Absolutely.
And that's disturbing.
And every once in a while, yes, it is true that algorithm somehow gets corrupt and you get like, oh my god, somehow this week was getting like all these fucking TERF videos. Oh. And TERF, just a reminder, is trans exclusionary radical feminist. Mm-hmm. So there's this, as we talked the other day, there's this trans woman who has been documenting her entire journey on TikTok. And her name is Dylan Mulvaney, right? Mm-hmm. Lovely young lady. And who cares what you think about how she looks or how... And I keep seeing these videos kept popping up where it'd be her talking about her journey, mm-hmm. and then these fucking TERFs like duetting her video going, listen to this dude talk about all this bullshit or blah blah blah, and how whatever, just basically saying about how everything that she said was
wrong, bullshit,
propaganda.
Yeah,
propaganda was the word they used, and I was all, she's talking about her own journey, and in one of them it was her 1 year mark mm-hmm. of being trans and living her life and doing her thing, and into her transition, I should say. And she's just saying, literally her video is, I have never felt more beautiful than I do right now. I don't know if it's my makeup today, or my extensions, or my boobs, or this dress. She goes, but I feel beautiful.
Yeah.
And some woman comes chiming in, do you hear all this propaganda? She's talking about herself and feeling beautiful. Yeah. How does that threaten you? Well, and why are you bothered?
That is the thing.
And then I was getting video after video of these fucking people, and I'm like, why am I seeing this? Mm-hmm. And then, Piers Morgan, who's like, talking shit to all these people. It's like the first one that came up was a trans woman, and he's like, why she would go on a show, I do not know, because if you think for any possible reason you are going to be able to change his view, mm-hmm. you're not.
No.
So just stay home.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, so what? I can just call myself a black lesbian if I want to? Because you can be anything you want to be? Well, you can call yourself a turnip if you like.
No.
It doesn't make you one.
No.
But you're an asshole and an idiot, and all you're trying to do is gotcha journalism, mm-hmm. and it's like, shut up.
Well, and that's the issue. People are like, oh, so I can say I'm this? Yeah, say whatever the fuck you are. But saying what you are and identifying as what you are two different fucking things.
Absolutely.
And there comes with social ramifications. There come with things that are learned how we're socialized into society. And so it's not, how is a turnip socialized, bitch? It's picked and then eaten. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So if Pierce Morgan wants to be a fucking turnip, we should...
Let's cook him.
Bitch, let's eat the rich. But like, one of my other...
I have no issue with that.
No. One of the other things I think is so depressing for people who are against trans people is how they classify themselves as their gender, right? So there's a lot of discussion being like, well, as women, we don't want to have to reclassify ourselves as cis women. First and foremost, you never classified yourself as anything unless you were trans, right?
Right.
People classified you for you, so you didn't have any power in that bitch. Second of all, people, and this happens a lot with women or men, but they're like, well, a woman has a vagina and can produce an egg. And I'm like, that is the one thing that makes a woman. That is pathetic. Right. That is sad and stupid. And you don't.
And so, what if you are a cis woman who cannot produce an egg? Then you're not a woman.
What happens if you're postmenopausal?
Well, then you're no longer a woman. Everybody knows that.
And so that doesn't make any fucking sense. Right? No. There are so many fallacies within the debate over why trans people are wrong or shouldn't be trans or what the fuck ever. And it's all boils down to such rudimentary, ignorant, sexist fucking thinking that you have a vagina, so you're a woman. Like, that's not a correct assessment of what makes a woman. You know what I mean? Ask women who are like assured of themselves and figure out what they think makes them a woman. It's not going to be because they have a vagina. It's not going to be because they have an ovum or they have a period. It's none of that shit.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Because like many identities, it's what you connect with, it's what you identify with, it's your essence as a person, right? And so to connect it just to your biological body is stupid. It's the dumbest shit.
Well, and again, it was Christianity that really made that.
Yes.
Like, we have to put that in a little cement block, and you can't chip that out. It's once it's in cement, and you're done. And this is the definition, and you can't be anything. You can't even vary from that definition a tiny bit, because we have said so and we make the rules. You know, and it's like, because if you look at ancient societies, that was not a thing.
No.
You look at indigenous societies, that was not a thing.
No.
It was, yes, obviously, there were men, there were women, but there were people who were two spirits, and there were just, and nobody was like, well, you can't do that because you're a man, or you can't do that because you're a woman. It was like, oh, you were this? Okay.
Not until modernity and colonization did it start to, like, you know, get whittled down, and those people were eradicated or forced to live as a life they didn't want. But there are some indigenous cultures that have like 10 genders, right? So, and it could be anything from like both gender, no gender, woman with a men's essence, whatever it is, right? And we today would just consider that like non-binary or trans.
Yeah.
But I just find it so, it's just so insane to me that this is the hill that America chooses to die on right now. And it's not even, again, all of America. It's just these people who are fear-mongering and pushing this whole just discourse about queer and trans people being the villains in America's story. But there's a fun thing that trans and non-binary and queer individuals have always existed. And they will continue to exist. Whether or not you think they should exist, you allow them to exist, you allow them medical care, surgeries, being able to identify, they will still fucking exist. They don't disappear.
Yeah.
And trans people aren't just born from other fucking trans people. Like, don't be dumb bitches. Like, it is so frustrating. So I think through all of this, you need to really look at the truth, right? We're looking at this objectively. Don't be like, well, I believe. I don't care about your subjective fucking truth. I care about what is actually happening. Show me the truth. Show me the statistics. Show me who are mass shooters. Show me who's grooming children. Show me...
Well, no one is interested in the truth.
No.
They're not interested in facts.
No.
They're interested in what they hear, and once you repeat it 42 times, it's fact.
Yeah.
So no one is going and looking up these facts and saying, are there any cases of drag queens going to jail because they've groomed children?
No.
There sure aren't. Are there any cases of trans women attacking other women in the bathroom? No. Are there any cases that would make what they're doing now reasonable? No.
No.
There's this quote that I've heard a bajillion times, and I just want to read it because it's so appropriate right now, which is, first they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for trade unionists, and I didn't speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And though this is a different time and a different place, it's the same fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the exact... You know, and you can say, well, that's kind of drastic and dramatic to compare it with what happened in Nazi Germany. Well, this is how it starts.
Mm-hmm.
You pick the scapegoat, and you eradicate them.
Yeah. And by the way...
Or you imprison them. Or make them live in fear.
Yeah. It's not even just, like, choosing scapegoats at this point. Like, they've identified the other, and there's now legal action being taken, right? Like, there are steps
all across the country.
Yes. And so people are like, well, that's extreme. It is, yes, because the Holocaust was such a tragedy and horrific and traumatizing and just did horrible fucking things to Europe and Jewish people and marginalized people. But here's the thing. That's not the only type of Holocaust that's happened. That's not the only group tragedy that's happened or ethnic cleansing.
No. Oh,
right?
God, no.
And so...
America was built on ethnic cleansing.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And so... It isn't extreme when we are already so far along in this idea of genocide of queer people, right? Like, when you start stripping rights away from people or protections from people, then your push for genocidal thought and action has already taken fucking place. Full stop. You know what I mean? And so this is what I have to say. I don't care who you are. I don't care how you identify, right? What is happening should scare you. And you should stop with your fucking psychobabble. And you should stop with what you've read on Facebook or TikTok or fucking whatever. You go and talk to trans people, right? Go read something that is actually academic or scientific or sociological. Go find something and bring me evidence that queer people are the problem with the United States. Because they are not. They never have been.
No.
And
no.
So I think that, I don't care, again, how you identify, but this fight doesn't stop with only trans people and queer people. This needs to be a fight for fucking everybody. Because, again, effeminate men or butch women, are you drag queens or are you trans? Or will you be eradicated as well?
Right, well, you'd be next.
Right. People who are intersexed, who have, like, different chromosomes or biological, like, women who are born with gonads inside of their bellies or whatever it is, having mixed male and female biological sexual
that
organs.
Also makes them a freak that needs to be wiped out.
Exactly. And a lot of that was, all of those people were also sterilized. But this will not end with just queer people.
No.
And queer people...
No, this is where it's starting.
No. And you can do... Here's the thing. You can say and do and act and be as cunty as you fucking want to queer people. Because guess what? We've fucking seen it, bitch. We have been abused. We've been pushed out. We've been excluded. And it has only been recently that queer and trans people have gained privileges. I mean,
or
rights.
The same rights that other people already have.
And I've seen politicians talk about, well, I don't think that women's rights should be lessened for others' rights to be expanded. But that's not how that works. If trans and queer people gain more rights or get the same rights as you, that doesn't mean yours go down, bitch.
Not pie.
But your fucking superiority complex over people's biological or social needs and wants is ignorant. And
but that's been the thing for so long. Politicians and people of that ilk are always terrified of things they cannot control.
Yes.
And so they want to control it.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that they have their thumb on everything and everyone. And, it's like, I don't watch, what is the show, with The Handmaid's Tale. I don't watch that, but good God, we're not that far from it. And it's like, that's the thing, is like, we want to control everyone and everything. And God help anyone who stands in their way, because then you're the enemy. Mm-hmm. If you're the one getting up and saying, we need stricter gun laws, you're the enemy. Yep. Because, oh God, don't take away our gun. And it's always the talking points, right? So it's like, I think we need better laws around guns. Oh, you're trying to take our guns.
Yep.
I think that, queer people should have the same rights. Oh, so you're trying to indoctrinate our children. Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah.
And guess what? Who do you think has queer children?
Straight people.
Straight people. Guess what? And they've been indoctrinated their whole fucking lives to be straight. Mm-hmm. And then they turn out to not be. Mm-hmm. So how did your indoctrination work?
Yeah, not well.
Not so well. You tried all their little growing up years, if you were one of those parents, to make sure that those children turned out straight.
Which is most parents.
Right.
Yeah.
And you failed.
Yep.
Because guess what? It's not a choice.
Yep.
It is just biological. And so, as long as people are having babies, you're going to keep producing queer babies. You're going to keep producing trans babies.
Yep.
It happens. It is part of life. Then there was that minister, oh my God, several years ago, who was like, I think that all queer people should be rounded up and put on an island and, exterminated. That was a minister. That was a man of God.
Yep.
It's like, okay.
And show me in your Bible.
Then what? Well, and his whole thing was, well, if all the queer people are put on an island, they cannot breed and create new queer people. It's like,
I don't think you understand how queer
people. Do you know how? What?
Yeah.
That's not how it works, stupid.
Yeah. No. And being queer doesn't make you immediately just sterilized.
Queer, yeah. It's like, well, I'm going to have, they'll all be queer because I'm queer. That's how that works. It's not, they'll all have brown eyes because I have brown eyes. That's not even, it's like, but you're just stupid.
Just stupid.
Because no matter what you do, you're going to have queer people. Now, what you're going to have is you're going to have a lot of queer people who are either hiding or committing suicide. So if that's what you're shooting for, then good work.
And if you wanted,
you're right on track.
And if you wanted queer people to be mass shooters, this is the way to do it, motherfucker.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I did see someone who was in front of a congress of people. I don't know if it was the United States or in Florida specific, but this woman said, if you come to my neighborhood and try and take my children or my neighbor's children because they are queer or we are queer, Florida has a stand your ground law for a reason. So come on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bitch, you think that only you ignorant redneck cousin fucking bitches are the only people who will kill you? You know what I mean? Who will kill? No, bitch.
No.
Push someone far enough and they will kill you.
Yeah. You come for my babies, I'll kill you.
Bitch, I'll kill you. Yeah. Exactly.
We live in a commune for a reason.
Yep.
We will take you
There's
out.
multiple of us. And we could kill you dead.
Yeah.
Well,
and not give a whole lot of thought to it.
No.
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 Well, I think we have...
released. Well, I think because, it's the end of Women's History Month.
It certainly is.
And I do believe that it is trans women are women, trans men are men. And so I think this, and because it's currently happening, is something very important to say. And yes, are trans women? Yes, of course. But are they all also still women? Yes, of course.
It's right there in the title. Trans women. Right.
Well, and because people confuse... This is the last thing I'm going to say. And then we can continue on with your heritage or whatever.
Wow. We can continue on with your nonsense.
Yeah, you stupid bitch. But people confuse sex and gender, right? And sex being biologically male or female, okay? And then your gender is how you are socialized, right? How you grow up, what you think, what you feel outside of your sex. So people who are born with a penis and identify as a male, identify as a man, are men, right? Born with a vagina, and then you identify that, then you're a woman. But then there are these people, also known as trans people, who are born male and don't identify that. Born female and don't identify with that. So there's a difference between being female and being a woman, being a man and being male, right? They're not synonymous with each other.
Right.
And, I know plenty of trans people who identify as female or as male, even though, biologically, quote unquote, it's not correct. But that doesn't take away from the fact that socially, they play a role and they adhere to norms of the gender that corresponds with who they are. So it's not like trans women, and people are people. People do all the things. Masculinity and femininity is two spectrums that cross over, and everyone has all of it, right? But that doesn't mean that, all trans women are feminine or act in, very girly girl, makeup or dresses. I know trans women who are none of that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I have trans women friends who are lesbians and are not girly.
No.
And I have trans men friends who are queer, who like boys, who are very effeminate.
Yes.
So your ideas of what someone else should be are exactly that. Your ideas. So that's great. If you want that to be, write a book.
Yeah, bitch.
Make up a story. Do whatever, but don't put your shit on other people.
No.
Even if it's your own children, don't do it. Because all you'll end up doing is fucking them up. So all you should be able to do, is help guide your own children through life and see where they're going and make sure they get there safely.
Make sure they're safe.
That's it.
And happy.
Yes.
That is it.
That is it.
That's all you can do.
If you need to know more about this, and I'm sure all the people who listen to us don't, because, we're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, bitch, I know.
But go watch or go binge I Am Jazz
Mm-hmm.
because it's the journey of one little girl who is now an adult, but transitioned at 5 because she just kept going, I'm not a boy.
Yeah.
I don't know why you keep dressing me. I'm not a boy.
Yeah.
And has lived very publicly as a trans figure. And she has, I think it's for the last 5 years, maybe it's longer than that, had a TV show that just documents her life and her journey and her struggles.
With her family.
And I mean, I've seen episodes where people just walk by her and they're like, you're a fucking freak. Why do you care?
Yeah.
How does it affect your life?
I know.
How does it bother you that this woman is living her life, doing her thing? She's not coming to your house and going, you have to accept me. I'm coming, going door to door, telling everybody they have to call me. She is not bothering you. Why do you care?
No.
But it's like the same with all of it. Why do you care? It's not your business.
It's just like when people don't understand there's like a fear trigger. It's like fight or flight, and they all choose to fucking fight. You know what I mean? And for what purpose? Again, it doesn't affect you. Like, someone being trans or queer or same-sex marriage or queer people raising children, how the fuck does that affect you? It doesn't at all, unless you're just jealous or you're just uncomfortable.
Well, I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, is people who are not living their truths, people who are not living out loud, get mad when they see people who are.
Yes.
When they see someone, again, nobody wants someone to be too happy or too free.
No.
You know, or too proud. If you go out there in the world as this abomination of a queer person and you're happy and proud and living your best life, you are now flying in the face of all the bullshit these people were taught growing up. You know, it's like you were taught that you have to stay within this little strict margin of whatever it is, but these people have the audacity to be happy and to be proud.
Yep.
For fuck's sake, they're proud and they're these freaks who are trans or queer or whatever. How dare they?
Yep.
And that makes these other people so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, how come they get to live out loud and I still have to be stuck in this little shoebox?
Married in a marriage that I hate.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, I gotta stay with this man who, God, I freaking hate him.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm supposed to do. No, it isn't.
Well, and so society helps us build boxes, right? And says, like, as a man, you need to be assertive and strong and non-emotional and blah, blah, blah. And as a woman, you need to be these other things, right? And I'm going to focus on men for a second because they also, granted, men are a problem to me most of the time. But they also, as women go through struggles, that's why there's a fucking feminist movement, and there have been multiple, is because they have always been subjugated to men economically, socially, whatever. But men also have to struggle with that. Think about men who are enculturated or taught what it is to be a man, and they don't identify with that. And not even because they're queer or trans, but like they don't want to play football or wrestle or be macho or, you know, have sexual conquest. Like, they're just different. And I would use, like, your husband as an example who doesn't fit into any of that box of, like, hegemonic masculinity, you know, where it's like, I'm going to go shoot a gun and kill a deer and, like, all the fucking things.
No.
And so imagine, as a man who are supposed to be in power and have control and be strong and whatever, and you don't fit into that, like, what? That's why there is such a high suicide rate for men as well, right? Because if you feel like you are divergent from that at all, you are then demonized and wrong.
Well, and especially if, like us, you were raised in the country.
Oof, girl.
Because then it's even narrower margins. It's if you're not out hunting, fishing, driving truck, drinking, and fucking women, what the hell's wrong with you? You have to be in, and maybe that's changed. I don't know. I left the country as quickly as I could.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, I was like, I had to get out of there at top speed because it was not the place for me.
No.
But the little margins that you are expected to fit within are very narrow.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're suspect.
Yeah. And, you know, society built that box and said, you live in that box and you stay in that and that's how you live and that's the rest of your life. And then queer people are like striking matches and burning the box down. And the people still inside the box are like, wait a minute, you can do that? And then they're mad about it because they didn't do it. Right? So I just think that cisgendered heterosexual people are weak. I think that you don't have any actual true constitution. I think that you find scapegoats for everything because you can't you can't internalize, you can't see what's happening within yourself. You don't live your truth. You live what people prescribe to you. You didn't achieve any of that. People prescribed that to you and you lived it. And that is sad and pathetic to me.
Right. And if you are then good job.
Mm-hmm.
Good job that you too were somehow programmed to live this life and you busted out of it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Mm-hmm.
But for those of you who are too weak, too lazy, too
scared,
stupid, too scared to bust out of that, leave everybody else alone.
Yeah.
Go get some therapy.
No.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
And figure out why you hate everyone else.
Yeah.
Or why they scare you. Or why they bother you.
Exactly.
And just mind your business.
Yeah, you're not like morally or socially or anything stronger than anybody else.
You know, and here's my thought. So you believe in this God.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And you think this God is the way.
Yeah.
Or specifically the way, the truth, and the life.
Yeah.
Okay? Great. Fantastic.
Love that for you.
But why do you care if your neighbor believes the same thing? Because if they don't believe, and in your mind that means they're going to hell, who cares? That is not your business. I mean, if you want to go say, can I share this with you? And they say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I tried. Because
Yeah.
if it is also part of your religion that you are then also a missionary of some sort, and you're sharing the word of God, cool.
Yeah.
But if other people don't want the word of God, they don't have to take it.
No.
So you need to then go, all right, well, I tried to give Annika the word of God. She said, no, thank you. I'm moving on.
Mm-hmm.
I will go to the next neighbor, or I won't. Mm-hmm. You know, I will worship in whatever way makes me feel like the best human I can be.
Yes.
Because part of that book, and yes, I have read it. I went to church 400 times a week as a child. Mm-hmm. I read the Bible. I know about Christianity. And guess what? The part that seems to get missed is that you're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself. Mm-hmm. Well, they don't love themselves, is the problem.
Yeah.
One. But two, they're not loving their neighbors because they're judging. And it also says in that book, judge not lest ye be judged. Mm-hmm. Now, think about that for just a second. You're not supposed to judge. That is not your job. On the judgment day, which, by the way, for me is every day, on judgment day, God will judge. Not you. Not you. It's never your job. So shut the fuck up and sit down.
Yeah.
This isn't for you.
Yep.
None of this is for you.
Nope.
And if it bothers you, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Now, if someone's actually bothering you, literally bothering you or your family, then deal with it.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, the drag queen down the street reading the library is not bothering you.
No. Doesn't
And
even
if you
know
don't
who
like that she reads Green Eggs and Ham with a wig on, then that's your problem.
I do love two people who are like, they're reading inappropriate books, but they're reading Dr. Seuss.
Right.
Like, he was kind of problematic in general, but they're reading Dr. Seuss, which are the same books that children have been read forever. You know, like, what is your...
Well, and that's just it. Most of the time, it's just the books that are picked out from the library curriculum.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when I went and read at the school, I read some books that had a little more variety to them, and like, I read to the entire classroom. One of the books I read was called My Princess Boy, and it was about a little boy who liked to wear dresses.
Yeah. Oh,
and
actually.
guess what? None of those children in the classroom were mad or horrified.
Nope.
They were just like, oh, it's a boy who likes to wear dresses. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. And the teacher didn't throw me out for reading this propaganda.
You weren't arrested?
I was not arrested.
Damn it.
And I was asked back to read again.
Oh my god.
I mean, I didn't go in my tiara or my crown.
Well, we're in
because
a liberal
it was
shithole.
early.
All the liberals here ruining cremas.
Yeah.
Yeah, girl. I know. Yeah, it's a lot. It's sometimes... Ooh, shaka-con.
God, loud.
I know, I'm mad, girl. Throwing shit around.
Throwing furniture. She's just over here. I know you can't see her, but she's up here just picking up furniture and chucking it across the room because she's so mad.
Yeah, so mad. Yeah, it's all too much. And I know, because having studied history, I know that the world's always on fire. There's always shit happening.
Yes.
But in the time of modernity, where we are now, this age of information, where things can be disseminated rapidly, and people don't fact check, and people just take what they hear on social media as truth, it is scarier. And there's a lot of different things too, right? Like, this is the modern time is the time for religious pluralism, meaning that the United States was pretty dominated by Christianity and Catholicism for a long ass time, and then other world religions, so Hindu and Buddhist and Muslims and whatever, they all came here, and it creates too much terror and division, right? And not too much. Everyone belongs to be where they want to be, right? But in the minds of people who are religious and practice religiosity, it is too much. But that is socially everything. We can get any information that we want across the globe and for any time in history.
Right.
You know? And I think that instead of people embracing that and learning more and becoming more compassionate and progressive and pushing past the limits that society has set in the past, we just adhere to the shit. We just dig our heels down. You know what I mean? We just stay in what we've already known and don't try to expand upon that. We're like, well, I was taught to be a good Catholic or what the fuck ever. Pick a fucking religion. And then you don't move past that. You don't look, you don't learn, you don't try. And that to me, again, like, it is so pathetic to me. And like, I know maybe that's like inflammatory or hyperbole, but it fucking is. I think that it is weak and pathetic of people to think that everyone outside of their identity is wrong, scary, bad, ungodly, whatever.
Absolutely.
It's just a depressing state to live in. And I was telling Gavin yesterday, my depression as a child from living in like trauma and abuse and hate to my depression now is vastly different because I don't live in the same way, right? Like, I don't feel depressed in like, oh, because going home will mean I could be murdered. But it is more so looking at the world at large and seeing how people just can't or are not. They're choosing to not get along. They're choosing to adhere to antiquated ideals that have no function or purpose in modern society. And if religion wants to continue, if things want to continue, you have to do what every other social institution does, and you need to change with the time. You cannot. That's why like Roman Catholics of today are not the same from
because
even hundreds of years ago.
Even the Pope that there is now was like, well, maybe we're wrong about some stuff. And if that institution, which is 40 bajillion years old and has been so tightly wound for so many years, can say, yeah, this needs to change.
Yep.
Then maybe the rest of y'all. Except what happened was then Catholics all over the world were going, well, this Pope's obviously shit because he wants to change things. It's like, no, change needs to happen.
Yeah.
It's evolution.
Yep.
Which also is real.
And
so...
Sorry, one last thing.
Yeah.
If you live in a world, in the environment, and you gain new information and you don't change your behavior, then you're problematic. Because the more you learn... When you know more, you do... if you know better, you do better, right?
Right. Well, the actual quote is, when you know better, you should do better. And that is absolutely the thing. If you know better and you're still not doing better, you're the problem.
You are the problem.
Yeah.
And I just think that people should, just analyze what they think and feel and then put that to what's actually happening. Because what you think and feel is not truth. It's not the truth, right? The truth is the truth, right? So just because you feel something does not make that a fact. Just because you think something
Well,
does
and
not
I
make
think
that a
the problem
fact.
with that is so many people use the phrase, well, that's my truth. Well, and to be real about that, it's like, I don't like hoodies. That's my truth. That's my opinion. That's whatever. And you can have your truth, but your truth isn't necessarily the truth.
No.
And so when we have like alternate facts, thank you, Trump, that gets people all confused thinking, well, I believe this to be true, but now I believe this to be true because they've told me they're both true. Well, they're not.
Well, and here's the thing. I know we're close to the end.
Oh, we're past the end.
Okay. So there's things that are objectively true from human perspective. The sky is blue. Water's wet, right? Then there's things that are subjectively true, like Allah is God, or not eating pork is the right way to do my religion. There are things that are true to you, but that's subjective. That is not an objective truth for the whole of the world. Like, volcanoes spill out magma or lava when it's on the surface, right? That's an objective truth, right? Like, and so people... You can believe what you want, and you can live your truth, but your truth is not the entirety of the world's truth. The end.
The end. Well...
Sorry, I wanted to talk about this specifically today.
Well, clearly, and we did, and we filled up an entire hour talking about it, which is fantastic. And but we have indeed come to the end of our weekly podcast, and we hope that you maybe learned something.
Yeah.
And... if you like what we had to say, like, share, subscribe, share. Share it with other people who you think might need to hear it.
Yeah.
Do whatever you need to do, but download that podcasting app so you get notifications. And when you subscribe, we will automatically be in your little show list every week.
Yep.
And
I think the big thing is, like, especially this episode, full stop, share it with people who have different opinions. Share it with anyone who thinks that, like, queer people are even remotely bad, wrong, or ugly. You know?
Right. Absolutely. And, you know, you can be like our friend Lori Lee or our friend Sparky and send us email at itwouldseemasthough@gmail.com, and we, as you've heard, will read your email.
Yeah.
Unless you tell us don't read it, and then we won't, because we are good people. Well, but on that note, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, girl, bye.
Bye.
It would seem as though.